When you learn how to be attractive, you're able to gain things that good looking people who have depended on their good looks are never going to be able to get. So, what are the other things that you can add to your attractiveness? Well, there's confidence, there's charisma, there's skill, empathy, and compassion. But what you truly want to do is you want to stack all of them. The truth is, women want different things at different points in their life. That's the way the world is. What is happening, gentlemen? So, today I'm going to be addressing a question from a brother that has to do with victim mindset, particularly victim mindset in dating. And I'm going to read out his question. Some context. I spoke about ownership versus victimhood last week, reminding everyone that you can either have an ownership mindset or a victim mindset. And this doesn't matter what you're doing in life. The context was obviously addiction recovery from sexually compulsive disorders. But really, at certain moments in life, we can find ourselves drifting towards victimhood. Victimhood would be characterized by certain sorts of thinking patterns, an inability to commit to things because you have been at effect of things happening to you. So you've always believed that things happen to you and you have very little control over them. And thus it becomes very difficult for you to commit. Now, most people who have a victim mindset are comfortable with the idea of commitment. It's a nice idea, but you don't really believe in it. You think it's something that people say. People say, oh, I'm committed, I'm committed. But in your world, in your experience, things just happen and there's nothing you could do about them. Things just happen to you and there's nothing you could do to control them. When I talk about people being victims and a victim mindset, it's important to note that I'm not speaking about some sad, pathetic person who is a failure in every area of his life and who doesn't take responsibility for anything. On the contrary, some people who have a victim mindset, it's very insidious because on the surface, they are quite responsible. In fact, you might be one of these individuals who actually takes ownership in multiple areas of your life. But the areas where that victimhood comes in can be quite devastating. So, on the other hand, an ownership mindset is one wherein you take full responsibility of everything that happens to you. You create your own reality. It doesn't happen to you. This isn't some delusional thinking. We're all quite aware that things are going to happen, but a person who takes ownership understands the concept of outcome independence. You understand the things that are within your zone of concern. That is things that you might be worried about, but you can't do anything about them. So you let them go. You don't let things like that take up mental real estate. You understand the things that are within your zone of influence. So things within your zone of influence would be things like relationships that you have with people, relationships at work, your personal relationships, your health, your aging, the process of aging. You can influence that, but you really can't control it. Now, when it comes to the zone of control, that's a much smaller zone. And within the zone of control, there are very few things that you have control over. You have control over what time you go to sleep, what time you wake up, how hard you work, and most importantly, you have control over your attitude, which is the way that you respond to things that happen to you. And it's a very powerful ownership mindset. So, with all that context being shared, let's jump into this brother's question. I've given into, and I asked them to share areas in their life where they had given into a victimhood frame. I've given into the victim frame within my financial and reboot and my dating reboot. Financially, he has this belief. He says, my overdraft and savings are depleting. I'm so screwed. But I've reframed this on focusing on my ability to make money in the present with, and he shares something that he's doing to make money. I'm not sharing that just to maintain his privacy. Also have had my best month to date financially, which will also allow me to pay off nearly half of my debt in one go, which is wonderful. And I I'm very happy that this brother is able to reframe that. However, when it comes to dating, he says, I'm just not as attractive as the other guys in this city. So that's the mindset. I'm not as attractive as the other guys in this city. I feel like this belief has eroded away at me to the point that I still genuinely believe that I can't access relationships with attractive women because of my looks. This is powerful, and this is exactly what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about dating and attractiveness. I was a guy who, and I still don't believe that I'm a particularly attractive person. And I spent a lot of my teenage years and early 20s using pornography because of low self esteem. I felt that I was very unattractive. And as a result, I was never going to have the opportunity to date beautiful women or even have sexual experiences that I did not have to pay for. So here's the response that I shared with him. First of all, I think a lot of men conflate looks and attractiveness, right? Attractiveness is made up of more than just looks. But I think with social media and things like Instagram and TikTok and Snapchat, we're exposed to so many good looking people, but these are not people who are walking around all the time. These people are truly people with exceptional genetics and facial structure. But when you go online and there are no geographic boundaries, you begin to feel that this is just the way all that there are a lot of people walking around like this. The truth is that most people, when it comes to classical good looks, the vast majority of the world falls into the category of average to below average, and it's been okay. In fact, while beauty was always a great factor, for men throughout history, beauty was not the only factor. There were many other things, which I'll talk about in a moment. The what looks do is looks get you into the door, right? Nobody can deny that. Nobody can deny that people who are good looking get treated better, get more promotions, get more opportunities. And if they take advantage of these opportunities in life, well, yeah, they can gain financial freedom. They can gain many things. That's the way the world is. But attractiveness on the other hand has longevity. When you learn how to be attractive, you're able to gain things that um, good looking people who have depended on their good looks are never going to be able to get, and you're able to do this for a very, very long period of time. You're also going to gain access to things that good looks alone cannot get you. So, what do you do if you feel that you are not blessed in the looks department? Well, all you can do is take very objective stock of how you look and do everything that you can to max it out, right? I'll use myself as an example. I took stock of myself and I realized in my 20s that I was not a good looking guy compared to all the other people around me. On a scale of 1 to 10, I gave myself maybe a 3. If you were to ask me now how I would grade myself in terms of looks, I'd probably give myself a 5 or a 6. However, when it comes to attractiveness, depending on who you're speaking to, I have certain traits that I've developed over the years that I believe make me attractive. One of those things would be confidence. And I'm not saying attractive in a sexual way only. I'm just saying that when I want to get things in life, nobody has ever accused JK of not being confident. I go for what I want. I'm courageous about it. And, I won't lie, once I picked up some confidence in my early 20s, it worked out for me when it came to dating. It actually worked out for me quite well. But what you have to do is you have to take stock of those things. I realized, okay, facially, there's not much going on. So I need to work on my physique. And I did that. I worked on my physique and I developed a very aesthetic physique, which I believe added like a couple of points to my 3 over 10, right? So it probably added like 2 points having a really aesthetic physique. And then the confidence added another point. I think every point from 5 points up, again, this is not scientific, this is bro science. I think every point from 5 up, if you are not a traditionally good looking person, is going to be hard won. You're going to have to fight for every one of those points. Confidence was the next one that came. When it comes to your looks, you really got to do everything you can to max them out. If you got bad teeth, fix your teeth. If you got bad skin, fix your skin. I have horrible skin. I've done everything I can. My skin is just not great. If you've got a fucked up hairline, fix it. I had no hairline. So I know I don't have the greatest hairline now. It's a little bit lopsided. I'm fully aware of that. But at the same time, I'm cool with it because y'all, I had no. Let me show you something. You see here, you see where my dreadlocks begin, and you see like all this hair here. I know you guys are gonna find this very hard to believe, but this is my new hairline. This, I know you don't, but this is where my hairline began. Then a little bit forward, I had some baby hairs, and the rest was my fucking five head, right? So go back to my old videos. You don't even need to take my word for it. Just go to YouTube, go to click on oldest videos, and you'd be like, God damn, bro, you look like the Predator. I didn't even know that. Your smile was distracting from everything. So take an honest look at yourself. I got myself a new hairline, whitened my teeth because I had the smile. And you got to do that for yourself, guys. Fix your body, like, get a muscular or aesthetic physique, get your skin fixed, get your haircut or a hairstyle that works for you, fix your hairline if you can, good skin, and honestly, from there you're good to go. You can start working on some of the other. You should be working on some of the other non-tangible characteristics. Next, you need to figure out, like I did, what you need to add to your looks to increase your attractiveness. Now, this brother is concerned about his finances. I will say that and he has low self-esteem, I will say that if you believe you have low self esteem, or if you have low self esteem and you're broke, well, those are taking points away. I'm not giving them a whole bunch of points. I'll just give each of them a point. But what I did, which may not necessarily work for you, was I went out to build a skill set that would not only help me make more money, but would also improve my self esteem. And so I went into sales. I went into the most challenging sales that there is, door to door sales. And I did that for a very long time, even when I wasn't making money, because I needed to build character. I needed to overcome a lot of my internal flaws. I needed to believe that I could get random people who did not know me out in the world to like me and trust me, not based on my looks, but based on my personality, my charisma, and my ability to sell an idea and transfer an emotional state to them. And I felt that this was a very powerful thing to learn, but I was also learning a skill set that could have me employed anywhere. And I'm so glad I did that because that added a point to my looks. I recommend you find something like that. A guy can look like a supermodel, but if he has low self esteem and he is broke, well, he's not going to get anything. I really mean that. I know guys who have, well, I knew guys who had low self esteem, who didn't have money, but they were lookers. They had no idea. There was nothing you could say to convince them that they were good looking. Nothing. In fact, even if a woman was to throw herself at him, he would sabotage it because he just truly could only see that which was ugly in him. So, what are the other things that you can add to your attractiveness? Well, there's confidence, I shared with this brother. There's charisma. There's skill. Skill is a very attractive thing. It could be a skill in business, a physical skill. It could be a skill as an artist, as a musician, but skill is attractive. Empathy and compassion, the ability to feel other people's pain and do it in a genuine way, is very attractive, especially to women. Now, again, none of these things are attractive, and on a standalone basis, none of them have longevity. Each of them, in within a certain context, can be very, very, very useful, and people can find those things attractive. But what you truly want to do is you want to stack all of them to make the most of them. Physical strength has always, through history, been attractive, but obviously not on a standalone basis. Wealth, social status, power, and character. Now, if you look at all these things, you will notice that in different cultures and at different times, each of these traits had their place. And depending on the type of lifestyle you want to live, the type of woman you want to be with, you have to curate these attractive qualities. You might be weak in some, you might be strong in others. But my recommend, and notice that I did not mention looks. in any of these things. In fact, looks is not even a prerequisite. If you have all of these or most of these, and to some degree or the other, you're going to be fine. You're going to go through life absolutely fine. Oh, well, what if my face is disfigured or my body is disfigured? It still doesn't matter. There are lots of examples of people, of men who have a lot of resources, great charisma, great mouthpiece. They can run some really great game. They're also men who are very compassionate, who are loving, who are caring, who get some of the most beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful women on the inside and out. So, in summary, I'll say this: I feel like a lot of men today have been, because of things like pornography and social media and a lot of messaging that's coming out, really have these very fixed ideas of what is considered to be attractive, right? And some of you have bought into some really frames. Some of you believe that it's only about looks, or that it's only about money, or that, oh, like women today don't care about those things. They only want your money. They only want your looks. They want. The truth is, women want different things at different points in their life. And I'm not saying women know what they want. I'm just saying that women want things at different points in their life. And it would behoove you as a man to understand women and be able to, if you're a single man, when you meet a woman, even if you're a man in a relationship, understand what is it that a woman actually wants in her life. For men who are in relationships, understand that what your partner wants when you guys first get married is going to be very different from what she wants when you get a little bit more domestic and move in together. It's going to be very different from what she wants or what she finds attractive when you are raising children. It's going to be very different from what she wants and what she finds attractive when your kids are teenagers and about to leave the nest. It's also going to be very different after the kids have left. Very few men understand these things. And there's this concept of marriage and long term relationships being these, oh, you just have to be the same person, be consistent, and everything is going to work out. Then you're shocked 20, 25 years later, usually when the kids have left the house, that your wife is like initiating a divorce, right? So I think as a man, being able to understand these things is important. There's just not enough men teaching these things. All right. So that's my message for you today. That's my response that I shared with this brother in our private group. But if you like these ideas and if you feel that this is something that you're like, man, this is pretty good, is there a way that you teach this? You teach this as a system. How can I learn to become that type of man? How can I improve my attractiveness? How can I find out what women want at different stages in their life? Then all you need to do is find out if our dating reboot coaching program, which is coached by a great friend of mine, experienced dating coach of almost 20 years, Andrew. You might want to hop on a call with one of our coaches to just find out if it's a good fit for you. I'll leave a link in the comment section below so you can have a conversation. But that's my message for you guys today. Enjoy the weekend. Bye.